the opportunity to provide our community a progress report on year one of the 5 Young Professionals Group, which had their first major event last month, also here at Miami-Dade College. And we will receive an update on programs that support action. And then the recently named One Community, One Goal committee chairs will lead breakout sessions in the 7 targeted industries to challenge us to think outside the box for solutions. Roberto Martel, City of Miami Commissioner Wilfredo Bort. Thank you all very much for being here.
The mission of One Community, One Goal is simple: to bring better paying jobs, more businesses, and more investment to Miami-Dade County. This has been a team effort from day one, and I'm grateful to all of you for your ongoing contributions. We're indeed one community, and we share a common desire, shared goal of seeing our hometown flourish through a diversified economy. And that's a noble goal, and it's a broad one as well. Fortunately, the One Community, One Goal initiative brings focus to our mission and gives us all a solid roadmap to get the job done. As we gather for this year's update, it's clear that we're making progress. Targeted sectors like hospitality and tourism are rewriting the record books and setting the bar even higher. And I know that Bill Talbert and the folks at the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau are very happy with the outlook these days. At the county, we're also making progress, and I'd like to provide you with a quick update. The port is investing over $1 billion in new infrastructure, including the port tunnel, which is well on its way to completion. And some of you may have seen Harriet, the tunnel boring machine, breaking through daylight on Monday morning. It was an exciting reminder of where we're headed at the Port of Miami. Miami International Airport continues to lead the nation in international cargo and daily international passenger flights as well. That's a strong statement and a powerful 1-2 combination for our community and our economy. Together, these economic engines, Port Miami and MIA, are giving huge boosts to 2 other targeted industries, trade and logistics and aviation, and programs like Year Up here at Miami-Dade College. The best part is that there's still plenty of room for growth. And I also believe that the sky's the limit for us when it comes to becoming a center for entrepreneurship, startups, and the creative class that will power our future economy. On that particular front, the work of community partners like the NAMI Foundation has been simply invaluable. At the end of the day, it's all there for the taking, folks. The robust technology sector, the growing creative class, and the entrepreneurial wave. It's all within our reach, and taking together these growth sectors will put us on a much stronger economic footing. But make no mistake, we have to stay focused on our goal of diversifying our local economy for the long term. We can't take our eyes off the ball and fall into some old habits. Because the temptation to revert to an economy that revolves solely around construction development is getting stronger as the real estate market begins to rebound. And we're all glad to see that the market turnaround. It's vital that we also attract the dynamic new businesses and savvy workers that can fill all the new office and apartment building towers that are being built. That's what was missing on the last go around, and now is our chance to get it right for our children's generation and for our grandchildren's generation. And speaking of that most precious asset, our children, preparing our next generation for the jobs of the future is fundamental to accomplishing our goal. In the simplest terms, we don't stand a chance of reaching our goal without an educated workforce. So I'm glad that education is such an integral element in One Community, One Goal. And kudos to Dr. Rosenberg for spearheading this effort through the Academics Council. We will hear more about these important efforts a little bit later this morning. We're contributing at the county too. We are in the process of redesigning our approach to internships to better align them with targeted industries so that we can connect students at all levels to the future workforce. It's also about talent retention and ending the brain drain, and I'll have more to share about that new approach at the upcoming Goals Conference. Taken as a whole, I'm excited about the changes that we're beginning to see in the makeup of our local economy. And 1 year into this important process, my takeaway is this: we're off to a good start, with smart capital investments and community partners stepping up to do their part. Many of our target industries are already flourishing, allowing us to devote more time and energy to emerging sectors. But we need to stay focused and move forward with a real sense of purpose, because our community will only reach its goal of building its future economy through a sustained, all-hands-on-deck effort. All of us, government, educators, nonprofits, and private sector, have an important role to play here. You have my commitment, ladies and gentlemen. Miami-Dade County is in this for the long haul, and I know that you're on board too. I look forward to working with all of you as one community to achieve that goal that we all want: a vibrant, diverse economy that will allow our community to thrive for generations to come. Thank you all very much for your time today, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go out and get the job done. Thank you.
Hey Frank, how are you? I'm talking to you.
Oh, you don't? I'm reading what you're supposed to be actually saying. Maybe I'm in the wrong meeting.
Have you ever heard me say what I was supposed to say?
No, that's when we were looking at the video from last year. I knew that we couldn't pull it off.
That was what you said.
Adolfo and Alex were just too good.
Okay.
That's why.
I shall begin then. Good morning, everyone. See what I've been up with? It's happening all the time. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Mayor McManus, for your very eloquent and very relevant words. It's really a great pleasure for me to be co-chair of this initiative, and your support and guidance throughout this whole process has been very much appreciated. It's also my pleasure to see many people here gathered today for this event. Up until recently, we weren't sure whether we were going to have 300, 400, I think we're close to 500 people, which demonstrates once again the importance that the business community, the public sector, and so on place on this initiative. I want to recognize our predecessors, Alex Wheelock, who's the senior AP of Miami Herald. She's here. Where are you? There she is. She actually is responsible for our marketing here today, along with Adolfo Enriquez, who's we all know is the co-chair and president and CEO of Gibraltar Bank. You see here. These two individuals are pretty incredible. You know, both are past chairs of the Big Council. I've known them since I was a kid. They used to take me to the park. And they are true community icons, and you know, without them, this initiative would not have gotten the start that it did and the support that it gets. So I want to thank them once again. So with that, Art, I think I'll pass it over to you.
Okay. Well, let me talk about last May. We launched the Target Industry Strategic Group. The leader for the Aviation Committee is Aviv Tazur. He's the president and CEO of Avbiz Aerospace Ventures. Aviv is recognized really as one of the leaders in aviation here in South Florida. His company is centered in merger and acquisition advisory services, as well as SWOT analysis, creative financing, and management guidance. This committee is focused on continuing to promote Miami-Dade County as a global hub for the aviation industry and support the investments necessary to improve airports in the county. George?
Objective is to develop a more integrated business that motivates other similar industries to come to Miami-Dade County. And we have supported the expansion of local fashion designers, such as Renee Reese Couture, who is located in Coral Gables and is now opening a new location in Hialeah. The committee leader for One Community, One Goal Creative Design Committee is Joe Roisman, and he's the Executive Vice President for Perry Ellis International. Joe has held various positions at Perry Ellis since 1970. He has played a major role in the company's growth and expansion.
Two very large conferences in conjunction with the Federation of Latin American Banks. First is their annual seminar. Next, another new committee is the Life Sciences and Healthcare to be led by Nelson Laszlo. He's the CEO of Dr.
Bureau of Marketing on Target Industry Association's meetings and conferences. The committee has been working to improve the availability of modern, high-tech convention space and has gained approval of an additional 1% tourism tax for Miami Beach, which is being allocated to the convention center. They are also continuing to support and expand the Miami or World's Meet initiative. It's a marketing partnership to further showcase the county as a global business destination in the county, in particular among those who are recent graduates of our major universities.
We'll hear more about these programs later this morning, as well as entrepreneurship programs.
Baseline criteria for a job. We are able to go into those businesses and offer basically on-site learning so that people within your workforce can get to the next level, which then opens the entry-level slot for somebody else that has been. We have 2,000 adult learners right now. And that type of learning is very different than teaching an 18-year-old. And so those people also, we are connecting them with our undergraduates because they are already in businesses, sometimes at significant levels. I mean, the mayor that was just here got his degree as an adult from Barry. The current chief of police got his degree as an adult at Barry. So we are reaching out to those adult learners and saying, okay, how can you help the kids that are coming through that are in that 18 to 23-year-old kid?
The mayor's not here but to defend himself, but I'll point out, I've seen him speak many times over the past several months. This is what he carries around with his speeches now. It's not a bookbinder full of pages, it's this. He's fully embraced technology, there's no doubt about it. Bill Green from the University of Miami, you opened your comments talking about how you've spent your academic career studying religions. The connective tissue between kind of the ivory tower, the education, and the business community. There's a parallel, it seems to me, between worship, houses of worship, and going back to your daily life and trying to connect those lessons that you're trying to teach yourself over and over again.
You're on, I've got to say. I think we just have to be cautious in the way we think about the relationship between education, particularly higher education, and workforce preparation. There's a common risk that industries and educational institutions share. And it's a natural trait of our species. We reach a certain point, we get very comfortable with doing the work the way we've been doing it, and we stagnate. And we stop innovating, and we don't know how to innovate, and we don't know how to grow. This happens in industry, and it happens in higher education equally. I think the important thing now in a world of information technology in which more people can know more things in more ways than ever before in human history is to understand that there needs to be a kind of creative friction between the two. By the time we figure out in a university what the skills are for a particular kind of job, set up a degree program, and get people through that degree program, there's a great likelihood that the nature of the job has changed. And then what we're preparing people for is already yesterday's work. Likewise, if we focus too much on that in universities, then the entire creative capacity of universities is diminished. And I think we need not to lose sight of that. There's a lot of talk right now about the value proposition, is higher education worth the money? I remember as a kid there was a bumper sticker that was popular in the old days. It said, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. We are in a situation in which we have to be careful. We have to think of it this way. Research, which is where American universities still lead the world. Research is to education as composition is to music. If we stopped creating new music tomorrow, and all we could do was play yesterday's music forever and ever, music would die. Same is true for art. The same is true for research. There needs to be that freedom at one end to create, to think, to speculate, to imagine, that needs to be connected with the way in which that speculation and freedom and creativity can be applied to real-world activities. Industry needs to be pushing on universities to say, we have this problem we need to solve. There needs to be a creative friction and a creative tension in an environment of freedom that makes it possible for our system to really work. So what I applaud about this group is that there's this sense of community wholeness and responsiveness of one sector to another to make sure that we don't lose that creativity. Last point, which we shouldn't forget. I just heard a story on NPR this morning explaining what's going on in universities and colleges in the Midwest and the Northeast. Though the population in this country continues to shift to our region, we are a natural draw for people from all over the country and all over the world. We have an extraordinary potential if we do our jobs right to make this an exceptionally culturally, intellectually, economically, socially prosperous place.
As a special correspondent for your NPR station locally, WLRN, thank you for your explanation.
I'll take my commission later on. After all, there's no such thing as free lunch.
Or a coffee mug, I think maybe we can set them up with. Okay. Irma, in your title, you have the word engagement, and that's really what we're talking about. And that's what Bill's talking about, what Sarah's talking about, is engagement between that ivory tower and the business community. Is there a good friction? Is there a creative destruction happening with that engagement?
I'm going to talk about that in the context of the work we're doing at the Academic Leaders Council. So at the first meeting that was convened by President Rosenberg and all the presidents of the institutions that are at this table, we were at the superintendent, we were talking about exactly this topic, how our efforts, our programmatic efforts are aligned with the industry needs. But the conversation shifted to internships and the critical aspect of internships, because we are facing a tremendous loss of our talent. When our students graduate, both students that are from this community, like FIU, because 70% of our students at the undergraduate level come from our public school system, as well as from University of Miami, who actually a lot of their undergraduates come from outside of Florida. Once they graduate, they're getting these great offers, and they're going to Seattle, and they're going to Silicon Valley, and they're going to Washington, and they'll even go to Indiana, because our students will go where the jobs are. And once they're gone, they're gone. And for all of you, the industry that is gathered around here today, it's a huge issue, because when you're looking for experienced talent, you have to pay pretty good money to get them back here. So it's a huge preoccupation among the leaders of these institutions, and we started pondering what could be done. So we decided that we needed to band together and we needed to launch an initiative for a significant internship program that really brings together the talent of all the students from all the institutions here and ties it with all the industries that you all represent. And we put together a proposal to the Miami Foundation, and the Miami Foundation has candidly agreed to make this their signature One Miami initiative, and they're giving us some seed funding to get this collaboration going, which include technology that will support this community, but also educational aspects. How do we educate the business industry and to how go about designing an internship that provides the students with the opportunity to learn. So this is the good news. Miami Foundation has agreed to give us the initial funding. The presidents of the universities around this table have agreed to put the in-kind, and now I just need to raise $100,000 from you guys. And it's going to be 20 industries, 5,000 each. I'm delighted to share that Commissioner Zapata already agreed to put the first 5,000 and 2 paid internships that will be working with his office. And I just corralled Art in the corner, so he had no choice. He had to say yes, and George, I'm coming after you next. You know, I gotta tell you, as an engineer that graduated from this community, I have my bachelor's and master's from UM, my PhD from FIU. I often kid around with President Rosenberg that I had to get into this engagement work because I couldn't find an engineering job. But let's make room for our students and let's keep them here before they go, because I think that it's a necessary step if we're gonna have a healthy economy, that we need to retain our talent here in this community.
And this idea of retention and job opportunities to our kind of native or domestic students is a key area of focus for some of the questions that have come in on the email address ask@peakingcouncil.com. This question really, I'd like Tony, you to address first of all, because you talked about internships, but then also here, Millie from Miami Public Schools. What can business leaders do to provide more internships for Miami-Dade Public Schools STEM students? Tony, you spoke about bringing in mentors and whatnot on campus, but how about specifically STEM industries and Miami-Dade County Public School students?
It's me or Tony?
Well, I'd like to hear from Tony first, because you spoke about bringing in some of these industry areas of industry focus onto campus, but focus on STEM opportunities for the Miami Public Schools kids.
Well, the key to us is going to be the talent network that Irma mentioned, that all the presidents of the universities have agreed to and that we belong to. Because in our case, right now, and talk about one of the challenges, is that we need to put together the STEM group, the science units, together with the business units, and work together in an internship basis. At the business school, we're already providing a significant amount of internships tied to the different programs of the school that the students are, whether it's tourism and hospitality management, whether it's sports management, whether it's finance in terms of banking. I think the talent network that Irma described, I think, is the best approach for us to be able to really make a dent in STEM and in other areas too. Because right now, sort of the challenge that we have at St. Thomas is that each school is doing its thing, but to put it all together, I think, through the talent network is what's really going to count.
And then so, where that funnel begins, obviously, is in the public schools. So talk about what the public schools would like to see from business leaders to provide those opportunities for the STEM students.
Well, right now we do have some students that are engaged in internships in their senior or junior year. But it would be very beneficial for business leaders to actually start early and become mentors to our students. There's nothing better than somebody looking up at somebody that looks like them, that is successful in business. And that starts with mentoring opportunities, and we have that available for you. Additionally, we have a community outreach department. You can access them, and what we will do is we will match you with the areas in our high schools that have those career academies. Every single one of our high schools is divided into career academies. The curriculum is related to the area of interest or the career or the industry that's identified. We have advisory boards. We would like business representatives to be part of those advisory boards, because there's nothing better than somebody that's practicing the area of instruction that comes in and says, this is what you need to add. So there are many opportunities that businesses can get involved in this endeavor with us in Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
Where the rubber meets the road was the phrase that we heard in the
Correct.
Rolando, you had mentioned earlier about here at Miami-Dade College about some of the areas of academic focus that you've begun to roll out to really address the needs in the local economy and community. One of the questions that came in on the email was addresses kind of a little bit of creative destruction. In other words, are there areas that you no longer are focusing on because of the One Community, One Goal recommendation to targeted industries? Are there areas that you've moved away from within the institution?
You put me on the spot of having to.
Well, I'm going to address it to everybody here, but we'll start local.
Well, there are programs. Let me tell you, this connection between the advisory committees.
Back when I walked in there. So fabulous. Thank you for being here, Madam.
Good morning, Rhonda Mims, Health Science Instructional Supervisor for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. I am a proud graduate of FIU's nursing program, the MSN. Thank you very much. And my role, 5 places for clinical placement, clinical rotations for practical nursing, allied health science areas.
Fabulous. I'm a product of Miami-Dade Public Schools, like probably a lot of people here.
Good morning, Victoria Galva, Victoria Center for Career Services. We service many healthcare clients. Commerce is very involved
very serious. And that's exactly the gist of this committee, is to create some activities to unite us. Now, obviously, the resources of the Beacon Council are limited. My time is limited. I have the purpose of this committee is to get together and come up with ideas. I'm going to give you an example. July is considered swim night in Miami Beach. Also, they attract buyers from all over the world. That's why we need people from that industry to come in and help us and come up with the film industry, or whether it's in any other industry.
A match, so to speak. Second thing is, please see James in the back of the room, and we want to see how we can assist you with your startup.
Perfect, thank you.
More questions? Please.
How far along is the
Can you state your name
I'm
and
sorry.
affiliation, please?
Terry Connor, and I actually came to Miami to work for George T. Baker's airline. So I'm familiar with the school. I'm a lawyer.
That's good.
Have represented airlines for most of my career. How far along is the move to Opelika, and what are the obstacles?
The expansion, on the paper part of it looks good. With the Beacon Council support, MDAD has reached out to the FAA for authorization or not sure authorization, permission, or for at least the idea of a Part 147, a school that's a technical school to be on an airport facility. And response back is very positive for us to be able to move forward in that respect. The next piece would be, is there land available? And the answer is yes, there is land available at both locations. The next question is the school system supporting the idea of expansion of school? And that response is yes as well. Where the stumbling block comes is funding. And I've looked at other models at other airports and other schools that have done some very dynamic things, and it would be really came through private-public partnerships. And that's really kind of what's going to be needed to develop a world-class educational center that can tie not only the technical school, but also the college and universities into a state-of-the-art facility at the airport. A lot of people bring up the issue that Millie Fennell spoke of earlier this morning about the voters voting on the bond referendum. But unfortunately, that bond referendum is very clearly designated what that money is going to be spent on. There was no slush, there was no extras in that to build a brand new schools for the current schools that were there. There was not catalyst to get the ball rolling. And really, if this is the case in a lot of issues, money is the only, right now, the factor that is preventing it going much farther at the moment.